This month I took 8 trades, resulting in 0.78% of profit, so a pretty good start, especially considering I've just started loads of challenges. So I'm doing $950,000 in challenges, which is split between E8, I've got 250k phase 2, 300k phase 1 with MFF, and 400k with the smart prop trader. So starting to see more trends leading into August, which is normally a quite high performing month. So I'm feeling quite confident that I'm gonna get some good trades over the next few weeks, especially with how the markets are shaped up in July. So we'll get straight into the trades. So here's the first trade I took this month. It was a continuation on AJ. Unfortunately, it just tapped me out, and I suppose it did continue in the desired direction. But these things happen, you know. Not sure if I'd take it again. Larger scale, I was kind of seeing this bigger ascending channel, and this was like the first leg of momentum out of that. There was a V here. We know classic V followed by a range. We normally get continuation of the second leg, but typically when I see a V fail, it often likes to reverse. So when I saw this V and range and this failed breakout, we actually went the other way, I kind of expected price to continue at least for a little bit. So this was like a semi-confluence, which you might find interesting. But main focus, ascending channel, and kind of first leg of momentum out of that. So we got impulse, small pullback, no shift, and another strong continuation with no wick, which is quite important on the JPY pairs because generally they're quite wicky pairs. So you could say this is more of an average trade, mainly because this is quite range bound price action, so it kind of negates the ascending channel. But I do like the idea of it kind of slowing down, ranging, you know, when we're going flat, and then reversing. So it really shows a slowdown of momentum and then shift in momentum. So that's the first trade. It resulted in a 1% loss. So the second trade of the month was on EU. This is probably my least favorite of the 8 trades I took this month, mainly because it wasn't enough of a break on EU. It was 6 a.m. that this would have tagged me in, so sleepy eyes, and I would have been looking at from my phone, and I remember on my phone the break looked much nicer, so I really need to be careful checking the charts in the night and checking from my phone. Main things I was seeing was a V and a little bit of a range, but honestly this is just range bound price action, and I should have thought, you know, descending into ascending, and we're probably going to continue ranging. Funnily enough, price did actually skyrocket after tagging me out. So that was quite unfortunate. And I think there was a trade here. Next trade was here. Yes, so this was the second trade. No, the third trade I took this month. We can actually play through it together, I suppose. So we've had this larger trending market, which was a confluence for this losing trade I took. And you could see that trend continuing. This time the break was much nicer, nearly twice as large. I don't really count pips. Generally, I'm comparing the break to the size of the impulse. But yeah, it was a much bigger break, which was good, and the pullback was small all the same. These trades are fundamentally quite similar. This is just a better version. Bigger break, bigger impulse, small pullback, all the same. So I was actually tagged in this first candle and moved up, and I made, I think 6%, 6.24%. So just managing below the lows as usual, no scaling opportunities. But yeah, really happy with that trade. There is the next trade I took this month. This is trade number 4. Also a 1% loss, I think. Yeah, I couldn't reduce my risk. So probably the nicest trade I took. No, that EU was the nicest because I ended up winning. This has a really nice confluence of larger descending channel. Very nice breakout of this descending channel. And we had a really good flag, sorry. You could say it's a bit of a deeper flag, which don't play out that much on AU. When I say deeper flag, I don't want it to retrace so much of the impulse. I prefer it to stay a bit higher up. Don't like on EU, EJ, I don't mind like a deeper flag where it's retracing up more of the impulse, but on AU, I don't like that so much. Other confluences with this trade, the wicks, no shift in the pullback. And the entry candle was quite small, but that doesn't matter with this trade. Yeah, negative 1%, so happy with it, I take it again. Here's the next trade I took. This was on EU again. EU's had a lot of action recently. Normally, I think there was a period on EU where I had like 1 trade in 6 months. It was crazy. And now we're getting 4 in 1 month because there's another EU trade after this. So with this trade, this is a flag coming from quite range-bound price action. Could say this is kind of descending looking, and we know EU likes to do this, so maybe you'd find that as a confluence, but I don't know, I wasn't really paying much attention to this. My focus is mainly on this impulsive leg, and the flag formation itself is really tight. It didn't pull back much at all. The candles are small relative to the impulse, and we're able to reduce risk on the entry candle, meaning that the entry candle was quite small, so if we broke the low, I'd immediately be able to reduce my risk to like 0.5% or something. So that's a good element of that trade. This did end up breaking the low. This always happens. EU ranges all night, and then at 8 AM London candle, you can see it from a mile away. That's when the volatility comes in. Like, it literally ranges all night. You enter here, and then 2 AM, 3 AM, 4 AM, and then London open. It literally always the same. And it nearly ended up taking me out, so maybe it's something to look into to enter at like 7 AM if a flag formed in the night. There you go. But yeah, this ended up being 0.04% profit, so considering spreads and commissions and stuff, probably going to be more of a break-even trade, or maybe a small loss. The next trade is also on EU. I will get that up now. Okay, so this trade was a combo. This is another really nice trade, to be honest. So we're coming from this very clear ascending channel, strong impulse, no shift in this pullback. I was looking for a flag. I remember this was a sleepless night because there was a lot of trades setting up. I was looking for a flag here, but it did end up breaking the low. I had my order set here, and then spread hours came along, so I removed it for these 2 candles, and then I set it again. It does look like this is the candle that tagged me in, but it actually tagged me in over here. This didn't quite hit my entry. So this is, although it looks like a continuation, it was actually more of a combo because it did this. So it's like a flag and a continuation all in one. So this trade also managed to break the low. So I managed to reduce my risk, but it was still a loss in the end. So this was negative 0.57%. And that's the last trade on EU this month. So GU now, this was at the same time as EU. So this is why it was a sleepless night. This trade formed at 4 AM and I woke up every hour up to this point, which was very exhausting. So big ascending channel again. Established trend coming out of this ascending channel. Small, we had a bit of a, you could say this was a bit of a shift, not relative to the impulse though, just in tangent with this large wick. So large wick and a strong pullback, but it couldn't be sustained because we immediately continued going lower with 2 impulsive candles with excellent closes, and we got a really tight flag, tight flat flag. Couldn't reduce my risk on the entry candle, but still very nice. I used a 20 pip stop loss for GU flags, and this resulted in basically a 1% loss. I think it was negative 0.93, but again, spreads commissions probably about negative 1%. But this trade was so nice, and I'd take this a million times. I was really happy with this when it formed. So the last trade I took this month was on AU, and again, this wasn't the best trade I took, but I still think it was better than EU and AJ, mainly because it is AU, and AU really trends well. And I like this one especially because of the way it was trending. We had an established trend, meaning we had impulsive legs with small pullbacks, and not just one impulsive leg, several. That's the key element here. And in the pullbacks, there were no shift in momentum at all, except for this one. And this is the reason why a lot of people would have stayed out of this trade, because this pullback is starting to show a shift in momentum, which means that people's stops, everyone buying here, their stops are below this low. So as we broke this low, you could be anticipating this area to fail as people are selling off their positions at a loss. But this wasn't enough to stop me. Everything else was going for this trade other than that pullback candle, and it wasn't really a huge shift compared to this whole move down. So I was quite happy to set my order here, anticipating it to continue trending really on a Thursday. Well, it was a Friday morning at this point. So yeah, this wasn't a bad trade by any means. None of the trades I've taken have been bad, but you could say it's more on the average side. Maybe this is a 6 or a 7 out of 10, whereas the GU flag and the EU combo were like 8 or 9s out of 10. So yeah, this is just a trade to reconsider, I suppose. So those are all the trades I took in July. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to chat with me, I respond to all my comments. Alternatively, I'm offering coaching calls. All the links are in the description. Thank you so much for watching again. Like and subscribe to this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.